A lot of people have been asking me this question that Shashank, when there is a global conflict like this that's happening in Bangladesh, what are some very interesting stocks to look at, right? Now, I'm going to make a two-part episode where in this part, which is part one, I'm going to talk about what is the implication of what is going on in Bangladesh, what are the stocks that are currently affected by Bangladesh, and what are the stocks revenue that might go down and what is the loss. That is part one. And in part two, I'm going to talk about which stocks will actually gain from this Bangladesh issue, what will be the benefit for those stocks, and who are the stocks that are poised to win. So you'll understand both, that which stocks to stay away from and which stocks look very attractive. Now please understand, none of this is a buy or sell recommendation. So without wasting any more time, let's get into the stocks one by one. Now first things first, you should understand the market of Bangladesh. The market of Bangladesh is basically a textile export market, right? And as you can see, they have been doing insane amount of textile imports from a very long period of time. In fact, by 2024, their export business was going to be approximately 40 to 50 billion, right? The total export. And textile is one of the largest export hubs, which is Bangladesh itself. And if you want to look at which brands that they were doing really well, the brands that they usually operate were H&M and Zara, because they are now hit the most. Because if you look at fast fashion, it depends on getting the product very fast and doing it at a very cheap and affordable rate. So Zara and H&M have been affected the most. In fact, even if you look at one of this company, which is Burberry, which is a premium brand, can you believe they also make most of their saman from Bangladesh itself, and they export it to US and they sell it for 40-50,000 and they make it for maybe 5,000 or less than that, right? So most of the textile, which is also known as ready-made garments, mainly in the cotton and yarn segment, have been the largest exports of Bangladesh. Now, let me give you another very fun fact. If you know that Bangladesh is one of the largest export hubs of the world, and it exports a lot of textile to different countries, mainly to the US. But the funny thing is 25% of these export hubs were actually owned and managed by Indian companies or Indians. So it was 75% Bangladeshi and 25% was actually owned by Indians. And Indians, what they were doing, they were sitting in Bangladesh due to cheap labor and they were exporting from Bangladesh, but the actual revenue was coming back to India. So that was the funny part. Now, if you look at the market, as you can see today, I will just show you how Nifty looks like. So this is how Nifty looks like. We saw a good recovery coming up, 1.27%. Now let's understand which are the stocks that are affected from Bangladesh. And it's not just textile, because everyone keeps talking about textile. So let me open your eyes a little bit more. The first company that actually got affected was Marico, which is an FMCG company. And as you can see, as soon as the news came out, the company actually went crashing down. The stock price fell down quite a bit, right? And Marico, basically 11% of their entire revenue comes from Bangladesh, and 44% of their international business mix was from Bangladesh. So Marico supplies its Saffola edible oil to Bangladesh, and the stock fell by around 6.5%. And today you see it slowly came up by 3.25%. Now, if you look at the revenue perspective, it is going to have a small hit coming in the next quarter. Now we will understand a little bit more, right? The next company, which is another FMCG company, which is called Imami, right? Now 6% of revenue of Imami comes from Bangladesh, and the shares of Imami also fell approximately 4%, and it is now going towards recovery. So this is another problem that happened. Apart from this, there's another company called VIP Industries, and as you can see, VIP Industries has been doing pretty bad from a very long period of time, but this has got affected even more now from Bangladesh, because 30 to 35% of the capacity was sourced from Bangladesh, and due to the massive protest, this sales is going to get affected drastically, because now they will have a non-operational plant, so they will not be able to meet up with the demand. Apart from that, if you remember your favorite railway companies, and India has been doing tie-ups with a lot of players in the world, and Bangladesh was one of this beautiful tie-up. Now if you look at the railway companies, there's a company called RITES. Now, as you can see here, RITES also fell a bit yesterday, but RITES is going to have a small problem, because they had a contract for supplying 200 gauge coaches to Bangladesh, and 906 crore was the order value. Now for this company, 906 crore order value is now in a confusion, because we don't know who will come and take over the government in Bangladesh, but this is going to get affected. Another company called Texmaco Rail. I think you guys have heard of Texmaco Rail. Again, they export a lot of freight cars to Bangladesh. Again, this can lead to some cancellation or some delay, right? But this order value is not known as of today. Another big company, which is called GRSC, and you might have heard of this, which is Garden Reach Shipping, right? Now Garden Reach Shipping basically had a $21 million order to build advanced ocean going tug for the Bangladesh Navy. right? And this order is again now going to get stuck, or it's going to take some time for this to go ahead because of this entire issue. Now, if you look at the power companies, I think we saw this in the news as well. Your famous Adani Power was also there. So Adani Power obviously is a very big company, but they had a subsidiary over there in this. They had a subsidiary called in Goda, Bangladesh, right? And they had a 1,600 thermal power plant, 1,600 megawatt thermal power plant was coming up in Goda, Bangladesh, and this was going to supply most of its energy. This entire subsidiary was going to supply 100% of the electricity to Bangladesh. Now again with this, and he had a very close tie-up with Sheikh Hasina ma'am. Now when that is not there, this is going to become very interesting. Apart from this, some notable names are also going to get affected. For example, Domino's Pizza is very big in Bangladesh and they have approximately 26 stores in Bangladesh. So we're going to see some revenue contraction happening from there. Asian Paints, Pidilite, Britannia, Airtel, Sun Pharma, these are some other companies that will definitely get affected only because of this. Now, apart from that, there are some other interesting companies as well. Now, when you talk about Bangladesh as a whole, right, we talk about the main, this was the non-textile part. We understood where the non-textile loss is happening, right, from an FMCG perspective. But if you look at the textile industry, right, there is a company called Pearl Global that basically has their own manufacturing plants in Bangladesh and they are going to get affected. Now, if you want me to show you a bit, this is the investor conference call highlights of Pearl Global. And if I just search Bangladesh, they say that notable performers include Vietnam, Bangladesh and Indonesia, where our operations are very well established. Now, if you go more detailed into this, we will continue to increase our Bangladesh, looking for several advantages here. Now, with this conflict, we are going to have, and they already had a wage hike conflict in the past, but now this is going to create a massive issue. Now, because of this entire internal conflict, we can also expect that the Bangladeshi currency might fall down and it might affect Pearl Global even more, right? So this is a very big issue for Pearl Global, and it's not just Pearl Global. So if you look at other companies, so if you start looking at all the textile companies and what they're talking about Bangladesh, you will see even here under Nitin Spinners, right? So there was something about this, right? Where somebody was asking, Nishita Jain was asking, what is about the Bangladesh market? So many issues are going there, but it's an important market for yarn exports, yarn and cotton. Are you planning to expand into other geographies? So they said Bangladesh is a very important market for us, but these issues have cropped up in the last 5 days. I think it has been sorted out and we expect this to settle down. Obviously, this was in July 23rd. It's been almost 2 weeks and this situation has escalated even more. If you go into more textile companies, this is another company that is there, which is called Vardhaman Textiles. So again, if you look at Bangladesh over here, Bangladesh is the biggest customer of yarn export as of now. So out of India, almost 25 to 30% goes to Bangladesh itself. Any disruption over there will have issues here also. That means people who are based out of India are dependent on Bangladesh are going to have issues, and these companies might have issues. They feel that what they were saying is this might be a small thing and it might pass over, but if it continues, then this will definitely have an impact on the entire operation of textile. So even when you look at textile companies, don't look at every textile company, right? Because there are some textile company, even though they say they do it in India, they actually outsource it to Bangladesh and they have operations in Bangladesh. So that is where a smart investor comes in, where we look at all the investor presentations, we look at all the highlights, and then we understand whether the decision making ability is good or the decision making ability is bad, right? So that was the main part of this episode. Now, coming to the conclusion, right? As I've shown you, every time there is a conflict in the global scale, whether it's Iran, Israel, Russia, Ukraine, or even if it's Bangladesh right now, right? There will be some opportunities and there will be some problems, right? Both happens at the same time. For example, if you talk about Ukraine, right? The problem that happened was that Ukraine had a particular type of soil that was used in ceramic industry, and we saw all the ceramic companies going down. But the alternate opportunity was, because Red Sea was held up, the logistic companies started making more money and their revenue went up because logistic prices went up. So every time there is a conflict, there is opportunities and there are problems. Our job is to find out what is good and what is bad. So in this video, I've told you the problems. In the next video, and let me know if you guys like it, but I'm going to premiere it again for the next day. The next video is going to be about the opportunities that are there in the Bangladesh problem. What is the import substitution that is there? Will India do well? And which companies in India are now poised to take any demand that might come? See, Zara and H&M are not going to stop. So if any demand comes, where will it come in India? And how much might come to us? How much might go to China? That we will do in the second episode. So stay tuned, right? So this is me, Shashank Udupa, signing off. And if you like this video, put it in the comment section below. My job is to just give you as much information as possible to make you look at things from a very different perspective. Okay? So share this with your friends and I hope you like it. Enjoy. Take care. Bye.